That's very, there's a lot of good testimonies out there, and nobody's sharing it.
Mm,
And so I want to give a platform for people like this.
that's awesome.
Uh. So, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm very grateful you're being here, you're tuned in. Thanks and praises to the Lord. Hello, brother. How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Sebastian, what's the name? I'm
My name is Klemen.
Clement, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We just met, so I'm
Yeah.
super excited to talk to Thomas.
Uh,
He's my country neighbor, so I'm really excited to get to know him more. Um,
nice to meet you. Nice being here.
so my testimony, man.
Yes,
This
yes,
is this
yes.
is what this is all about. I would say so. I'm Slovene. I grew up in Slovenia, but my English gives away that I'm not. Something's not. I don't have accent. I don't speak like.
No, no, you have no
So,
accent.
so this is how my story begins. When I was 6,
Oh,
I actually met my best friend, and when we had a birthday party or when I was at his house, I discovered that there was something more about him. And the more I was there, the more I noticed, like, oh, they're praying to someone. Oh, they pray before they eat. They pray before they go to sleep. They go to church. They do all these different things. And so I was like, oh, okay. As a 6-year-old boy, they're Christian. That's fine. Now, I'm too little to know these things, so I'm just going to avoid it. And that was my mentality for a very long time. I would listen to them, I would talk to them, they would pray over me, and it was fine. And my parents knew, and they were like, yep, yeah, that's fine. We don't, you know. But then time went on for 7 years until we got to seventh grade. And at that time, we were old enough to finally attend these camps that this family was making in Slovenia, through which they were sharing the gospel. And they were a missionary family, yeah. And so I was there, and of course, camps
they
was.
were they were missionary. They was traveling around and
Well,
something like
no,
that.
they positioned themselves in Slovenia,
Yeah.
and that's where they stayed, and that's where their heart was, and they're still here, and they're still serving
Uh,
20 years later,
that's
25.
cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. That's very cool.
So as we were there at that camp, they shared the gospel again, which I've already heard through them for many different times. But I was like, okay, I know this. I don't care. The only thing that brought me back to camp was girls. Like as a young puberty hitting teenager, that was my main focus. So years went on all the way until ninth grade. But then we both went to different high schools. He went to one, and I went to another. And the whole family decided, there's 6 of them, so parents and 4 kids. They said, hey, should we invite Clement to be a part of our family night every week? And that was special because usually when you have a busy life schedule, time for family is sacred. And that was that extra step of love I saw from them every day for my life, because I wasn't the best of friend to my best friend. Like I would in school, like I would want to do bad things. I would want to throw, I don't know, yogurt at teachers or start fights. And he was always like, hey, that's a bad idea. We shouldn't be doing that. And he showed me Christ before I knew what he was trying to show me. So, anyways, when we split off, they said, should we do this? And they said unanimously, yes, let's invite him for our family night. And so every day, every week for a whole year, I would see this family live under Christ. I would see the father lead his family, love his wife, the wife respecting her husband, loving him back, and then just the kids functioning like an amazing unit, like a family. And so some nights we'd need something restful, and we just watch TV, eating sloppy food like hamburgers, or other nights the father would say, wow, my family needs something fun to do. We'll do something crazy. And in the backyard, we'd build a snow sled, like a snow sleddy, inner tubey type of track.
Oh, cool, cool.
But then other times it'd be like, hey, we're going to be reading Proverbs 17 today. And so he goes verse by verse, explaining it, what it means. Because at the time, cognitively, you're still not there yet. You cannot do metaphors in your brain, or you're on the verge. So he really painted it very like, you could touch the verse. You could really get it. So I was like, yo, is the whole Bible like this? And he looks at me and goes, yeah, it is. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So that weekend, I went to church with him, and I went to the pastor. He's not here anymore. He's somewhere around. And I said to him, "Can I get a Bible, please?" And he goes, "Yeah," and just gives me a Bible. I have it with me. It's actually upstairs in my room, but it's just all broken up. It's torn, like pages are really in bad shape because I read it so much. I wanted to know. So the year goes on, and we get to the final week before this summer camp happens. And the father goes, I'm going to help my kids. I'm going to teach my kids how to help people give their life to Christ on a piece of napkin. So he unfolds the napkin, and it's like a comic book. Boop, 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 boop. And he just starts drawing a comic book. And in first comic book, it goes, God created humans and created the earth and everything. And he writes down verses why that's true. It goes on to the second one where, hey, we gave a middle finger to God, like, hey, screw you, we know better than you, so we're gonna go our separate way, and we sinned. And he drew a little big giant chasm, like a big hole in the ground, and then verses why that was true. And then went to the third picture, and this was a really impactful one for me. He said, no matter what we tried to do, we could not fill this hole that was in our hearts. For me, I thought if I was going to have sex with a girl, that's going to fulfill me, and I will truly reach the peak humanity, and I will be forever fulfilled. And he said, nope, doesn't work, and drew a little arrow, and it went right into the hole, and like, oh, and drugs, right into the hole, and trying to be successful, riches, everything went down into the hole. And I'm looking at the drawing like, then what is going to save us? Like, what? How can we? And so he writes down verses why that was true. And then we go to the last one, and he writes down Romans 10:9 and draws a cross over the chasm and says, Jesus is the only way to get back to God and to be fulfilled. Because it's like a weirdly shaped hole. You cannot put a circle in, you cannot put a square in, but you got to put Jesus in to fill this hole, to fulfill you. And so Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you believe in your heart that God rose him from the dead, you will be saved. I think about the thief on the cross next to Jesus, like, hey, Jesus, like, I know I'm here because of what I've done and I deserve this, but you're here innocently on this cross. Remember me when you get to heaven. And Jesus said, you'll be with me there today. And he didn't have any baptisms. He wasn't at Bible study groups. He wasn't, doing all those things or like all the rituals per se in the Catholic Church. But he simply believed, gave him glory, and that was it. And so he goes, and I ask the father of the family, I go, so it's that easy to give your life to Christ? Like, he goes, yeah, it is. And he didn't ask me, do I want to do it? He just let it go. So that night, me and my friend, I stayed over to go to camp the next day. And my friend goes, hey, so do you think you're a Christian? And I lied and I said, oh yeah, of course, other people think I am, and I hang out with you guys all the time. And he goes, those people never said that, and you hanging out with us is you basing your faith on us, not on Jesus. And so as he's making all these arguments, I kind of close in and I go, man, he's right. I never truly told Jesus, I want to do this. I want you to be my king, my redeemer, my Lord, my God. And so when he stopped talking, I started praying. I felt it, I believed it, and I just prayed out loud. And I said, Jesus, I admit that I'm a sinner. I believe you died on the cross for me, and I accept this gift of life. Basically I was saying, I'm a mess. You were right. I believe that you did this for me, and I accept it. I give it power over my life. And when I said the last word, it was as if something scanned my body, like as if it traveled through me. I felt the line move through my body, like from the top of the very top hair to the very last dead cell on my heel. I felt it in about a 2-second wave. It traveled through me. I was scared. I was happy. It was a very weird emotion. And so my friend leans over and kind of just like, hey, give me 5, like, you gave your life to Christ. And I give him a high five. And he goes, okay, good night, and just rolls over into his bed and goes to sleep. And I'm over there, scared, happy, scared. I didn't know what was going on. So eventually, all that excitement dies down, and I go to sleep. And this is how I knew the next day. We went to the bus stop where we're going to pick up all the campers. And at the time, this pretty girl walks by. I was 16. She was, I don't know, 15, 16. Doesn't matter. She walks by, and I'm like, I gotta see this again, you know. And I start to turn around, and I'm turning around, you know, towards where she's going, and I kind of hit this wall, invisible wall, just bonk, and these verses just pierce my brain. Verses I've read months ago. If you held a gun to my face, I could not remember them by heart. And yet, through my brain, and it says, even if you lust in your heart, you've already slept with her. And, what? And the next verse was, treat them as gentler creatures, for they will also be part of the heavenly kingdom. And I go, and I'm standing here, and she's walking away in the periphery of my vision, and I couldn't see anything. And I go, yeah, 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 yeah. And I turn around, and I walk away. I'll tell you now, like the 16-year-old puberty jacked teenager at the time would not pass that up. I would turn around and I'll go up and down and just check every curve there's to check. Um, but I didn't. And that's how I knew, whoa, there's something else in my body right now telling me these things and just speaking to me. That was the Holy Spirit just totally changing my life. And from that day on, I've been living for Him ever since, not looking back at all. So that's my story. I hope it wasn't too long.
No, very great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony. And that is a good thing. You said like this hole in your heart, you know, and this weird formed hole, you know. That was in my case too. I was always searching something to fill that hole, you know.
Yeah.
It was girls, it was drugs, it was alcohol, it was sports, it was everything, you know. It was playing computer and everything, you know. And Jesus filled that completely, completely.
Amen.
And gave you peace. Yes, yes. He's the only one who can fill that up. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yes, yes, brother.
And I hope you've listened to his story because it's quite amazing. So go find it on the channel. It's definitely should be there somewhere.
Yes, yes. I don't know. I think I have to record it again.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe we can do it together. You know?
Yeah, maybe we can. Yeah. I'll drive up to your place. Amen.
Yes, yes. You can to our church. You know.
Yeah,
pretty
we'll
good church
come
in
up with a
Finland.
plan.
Yes, you're welcome,
Nice.
brother. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
That's so good,
Amen.
man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. The grace and the peace of the Lord be with you. See you next time. Bye.